My name is Eric Homan, and I will be discussing the feasibility of strengthening the current CSU tobacco policy to a smoke-free campus policy. In this presentation and speech, I'll be going over why secondhand smoke exposure is harmful, the current CSU policy and why it is inadequate, what changes need to be made, and the feasibility of CSU specifically making these changes. So there's a proven health fact that secondhand smoke is a health hazard. As a student, I am still exposed daily on CSU's campus to secondhand smoke. And since 1964, over 2.5 million U.S. citizens have died directly related from health complications that are caused by secondhand smoke exposure. I suggest strengthening CSU's policy to a smoke-free campus policy. Other universities and colleges are following the national trend to create a campus-wide smoke-free policy. In this figure, it explains the unquestionable issue and massive number of people that are affected by secondhand smoke, specifically the 22 million children that are affected. The definition of secondhand smoke is tobacco smoke that is exhaled or is given off by burning tobacco and then inhaled by persons nearby. The current CSU policy is honestly weak. The policy touches on required guidelines that are supposed to be followed by all personnel on campus for the smoke-free zones and smoking zones. There are not necessarily any signs that are designating these areas clearly, so you must be familiar with a map, campus, and on campus where these smoke-free zones and smoking zones are. The enforcement is not there and is unreliable and pathetic. CSU states on their policy page that anyone observing a violation may approach the person in a friendly manner and remind them of the policy. And now past this, you can go and fill out a form and call attention to reoccurring violators, but is this really effective? No. And the overall purpose stated by CSU of this policy is, quote, to sustain and enhance the general health and well-being of faculty, staff, and students and visitors of the university, unquote. Now, this quote or this guideline does not meet what it is saying that it wants to do. It wants to create a healthy environment for everyone, but that is not at all what it is doing. So why make this change? Ultimately, the number one reason is to protect people's health, specifically the health of non-smokers who are making the conscious choice not to smoke, but other people's choice to smoke is harming them anyway. A smoke-free policy limits secondhand smoke exposure, creating this healthier environment. And the Center for Disease Control states that actually introducing a smoke-free law or policy can help reduce smoking along the general population. In this graph, figure 2, it shows that over 440,000 deaths each year are caused by smoking alone, and of those, 38,000 are caused by secondhand smoke exposure from cancers and heart diseases and other issues and complications. So is it possible to make this change? The support is there. The majority of students will undoubtedly support this change because the majority of students choose not to smoke. In 2015, CSU administration actually adopted this new policy with smoke-free zones, so they will also adopt a policy most likely supporting a stronger policy and to, again, fulfill the purpose of the policy to create a healthy environment. There are also other colleges, including CU Boulder, who have already made smoke-free policy campuses. It's also easier to enforce a smoke-free campus rather than having zoned out areas where it's okay to smoke in one spot and not okay in another. There's a zero tolerance rule, and so everyone knows that if they see someone smoking, they're not supposed to be doing that. So the purpose is to strengthen the CSU policy and make it an entirely campus smoke-free policy. The current tobacco policy is inefficient and does not follow its own standard of creating a healthy environment, and the enforcement is left up to students or other persons to approach a violator and handle it themselves, which is completely ineffective. Secondhand smoke is dangerous to non-smokers, ultimately making smokers dangerous to people like me who choose not to smoke. There will absolutely be support from CSU student body as well as sponsoring organizations from the federal and state level, and so it's up to CSU to make this change, take action, protect its students, and please, no smoking. Thanks.